Hi, everyone. I want to go ahead and get started with this training. So today I'm going to be showing you some things at DubBot. We'll start off with just some very basic things about the interface and the different options that are available. And then I'll get into some specific examples and probably the more common examples that you'll come up on DubBot and show you how to work through them. So when you log into DubBot, you see a screen like this. It's got the sites that are available to you that you can get the information on. You can just click on them. It gives you a dashboard with some scores. And let me show you this on a more generic large page, so I'm not showing off any errors that I have. So here's most of the ISU website. This is the scoring for it. So there's areas up here. We have accessibility, broken links, web governance, and the spell check. So those are the four big areas. There's three others that it does actually check, but it shows these first. So you can look at these in different ways. If you want to see what the accessibility issues are, you can click. It will show them all, how many of them there are of each. You can also just see the pages that have accessibility issues. And when you're in this view, you can click this any accessibility issue and it will show you the different issues. So if I only wanted to see pages where the URLs were used as link text, I can click that and it will only show me those. So if you're looking for a specific thing that you're trying to fix, that's probably the best way to find it. So that works with all four of these areas. You can also use this quick wins panel here below that top part of the dashboard, where you can filter these by the type of issue, or in some cases a specific thing. These SEOs will have specific things you can look up, like a missing heading 1 tag, for instance, if you want to see all those pages. But it does essentially the same thing. And you can also filter from here the same way in the other view. But it's going to show you all the pages that have that type of issue associated with it. And you can just click on the page. It will open up, show you all of those. Sometimes it gives you a little bit of instruction on what to do, but sometimes those instructions are difficult to understand. So I want to run through those with you. So I have a DubBot page built just for this, with the most common errors that I see around that you'll probably be able to fix in some way or another. So this only has one page. So all the errors are on the one page. So when you click on a page, it's going to open up, show you the page. And here along the left, it has all of the areas and the number of errors that it's finding. So we've got our accessibility, best practices, bad links, spelling, web governance, SEO checks, and readability. It doesn't throw errors for these bottom two, but they are interesting to look at to get some more information about your page. So let's just go through some of these examples you'll run into. I built this page with specific errors, so I can go through them with you. So the accessibility is going to show you issues that are going to make it more difficult for someone who's using a screen reader to process your web page. And they are separated into different groups. There's a WCAG, that's the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. I just call it WCAG. I don't know if that's what other people call it, but that name amuses me. So there's different levels of those, AAA, A, but you'll need to deal with all of them. And then there are some more specific accessibility things we put in. They come in under policy that are needed for accessibility also. So I'll just go through these. You may get an elements must have sufficient color contrast. This one is often hard to find on the page. It doesn't necessarily highlight it like some of the others, but typically where I find this issue happening is when someone has embedded something on their page and there's some color issue coming from the source of the embed. So in this case, this is a Google form, and what it doesn't like is this color here. This isn't enough contrast with the white. So a lot of times that's going to be the thing that you're getting, is something that's coming from another source. Maybe it's Twitter. If you put in a Twitter feed, you're going to get a warning about this, and you really can't fix it because it's Twitter. So when you get that, that's typically what it is. And if you can go to the source, like I can go into Google Forms and change the theme so the colors are different and that they meet standards. Some systems will allow you to do that, some may not. But that's typically what it is, as the templates are all set with color contrast. So it's probably something coming in from outside, I hope. So another one you'll get, this also comes from when you're embedding things, is frames must have an accessible name. So when you get embed code from a place, then this did highlight the form. These iframes need to have titles. And it doesn't seem like any service that gives you embed codes includes a title. So here on the website, there is a tutorial I've made, and this will get changed over time. I'll add this video to this page. It's on the CMS website under the tutorials, and it is DubBot. So there's some examples on here of these issues that I'm talking about. So the frames must have an accessible name. Typically, you get something from your embed source that starts with an iframe. It's going to have a link to something, maybe some width, height information. What you need to add is a title. Title equals, quote, the name you want that to have, and then an end quote. So you probably want to do that before you paste that in to the CMS. You could do that in Notepad, Word, any text editor will allow you to do that. But that is how you would get rid of that issue. Okay. So just going down here a little more, a link does not have discernible text. So you'll get this most of the time if you have linked an image and that image doesn't have alt text. So you can see it did kind of highlight it here in the background. It's looking for some sort of text to associate with the link and it can't find it. So typically this warning is something to do with an image that doesn't have any alt text and no description text with it. So you need to go into the media library and add a description for this image. It's also, some accessibility gurus will tell you that you shouldn't make an image a link without having text that is also a link with it. That's how the picture links menu, for instance, works in the CMS, so that it meets accessibility and still has an image in it. Then there are down here some issues with links or images that come up frequently. So if you have used click here or here in the text for your link, it will flag that. You should not be doing that. Links should have descriptive text so that when people click on it, they know what they're going to get based on the text they're clicking on. There's also a warning if you use a URL as the visible part of the link. So that is difficult for screen readers to process. They come across the link. It can't read a URL the way a human does, so it just says every letter and punctuation mark separately, and that makes it almost impossible for a visually impaired person to understand what's going on there. We want to correct those. If your image has no description, so it will highlight the image if no alt text description has been put into the media library. You need to find these images in the media library and add descriptions to them. Okay. So one thing you can also do when you're correcting, I mean, you can just log into Terminal 4 and go to the page and make these corrections. But there's also this option here at the top right, that view in. I choose Terminal 4. Oh, it does make me log in. Oh, I can't log in this way, sorry. Not on the permissions group, but that's what it'll do. And it will show in direct edit. Show the other screen where I'm logged in differently. So I could look at a page, use this view in, Terminal 4, it's going to open up this page in direct edit, and you can make their edits there and save them. Okay, so that's the accessibility. Does anyone have any questions about accessibility issues? Because there will be some you'll get that you may not understand, and that's okay. You can ask us about those. They're usually something really weird into the weeds.
Hey, Joe, I have one. And it's more just does anybody have any ideas on ways to make it work well? And this is when not using the click here for a link. We have worked really hard on a lot of different things to make it descriptive, so that, you know, we're not using the click here, and then people don't find the link. Even students, even though we are assuming and data is telling us that they are intuitive and know to hover over things and know that it's a link to go somewhere, we have run into issues where people don't intuitively pay attention to click the link. So
I don't know how to fix that. That seems like a human psychology problem.
Any human psychologist here?
Yeah, and I mean, it is a problem because I've had people on a website, and I'm on the website looking at it with them, and I say, in the navigation, just click on this, and they say, I don't see the navigation, and I don't know how to fix that. Like, so if it's a really important link they need to find, maybe you can make it into a button.
Okay.
I don't know what to do, but I don't think having it say click here will help them find it more if they're not finding it now. So, well,
it seems like people are still just attuned to that language instead of.
Well, it's bad. Don't do it.
No, I get that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Okay, I was just hoping that maybe somebody else had run into some ideas on, you know, some good workarounds for that. So.
Right. And sometimes it's just hard to make people see things. I don't really have a solution for that necessarily. I wish I did. Would solve a lot of my problems also. So that's accessibility. One thing I want to point out, if you are having an issue in here, you don't understand what it is, it maybe is something that we need to fix. It could be something in the code that needs to be changed that you wouldn't necessarily have access to. So I want to point out that at the very bottom of this left-hand menu, there is a share option. And I will give a link. You can copy that link and you can send an email and tell us, I've got this issue, here's the page. And then we can take a look at it and see if it's something that we need to correct.
Hey,
Right,
Joe.
so,
All right, I was just going to point out to hopefully save people time for something I had to learn was the accessibility alt text that you have to change it in the media library.
yes,
So
you do. So you need to go into the media library and add it there. Okay.
So you can't do alt text with the quick edit?
You cannot.
I have a question. I don't know if it's completely related to this topic or not, but there is possibility to put the password or passcode for some of the links. So when some specific student can access when they click on the links, or just this is for public, all the links.
So are you asking if we can have pages that have password protection?
Yes. Basically,
Currently, we can't.
Okay.
I mean, it is technically possible. It's not set up, mostly because we run under the assumption that if you are putting something on the website, it is public information.
Okay.
So
yeah, because I wanted to put some of the specific information for my lab on the website, but I want only the lab members access to that information, not all the public, I mean, all the students.
Right. You may want to use Moodle for that kind of a thing.
Okay.
And add them to a group. I don't know enough about Moodle to tell you how to do that, but if you contact the ITRC, they can definitely help you figure out something like that.
Then I can connect the Moodle to, put the Moodle link there in the website as well. or-
I assume so. You could just
But yeah,
have a
Joe's
link.
right, because you could set a group in Moodle. I do that all the time with dental hygiene and have the audience specifically set to just them. So ITRC, they're fantastic. They will be more than happy to help you get that all set up.
Okay, great.
Also, yeah, we're kind of off topic, so let me get back to DubBot here. Best practices is the next one down. So best practices are usually related to accessibility, but they are not things that sometimes have a specific WCAG definition of them. So they're put here in best practices. These are things you should correct. The most common ones you're going to get is heading should not be empty. So there is a space here. This can happen in the text editor. If you've got headings in your text editor, you hit enter, maybe you hit enter again, and it's going to create an empty heading. So you should be able to see this in your text editor. There'll be some big space. You can just go in there and delete that space out. But this does happen from time to time. People generally don't intend to do it, but it can be a little confusing for someone using a screen reader that there's a heading with no text. The same thing with the heading level should only increase by 1. So I've talked about in trainings before, every page needs to have a heading 1 at the top of it, but you shouldn't skip heading numbers. So if you have a heading 1 at the top and then you only use heading 4 after that, that's not ideal. So you should use heading 2 next. This one is a little harder to find on your page. One tip, maybe, if you want to install a plugin that can help with all of this stuff. I use one called Wave, just W-A-V-E. It's a plugin you can get. It's accessibility plugin. And when I click on it up here, it will label all of the headings for me. So I can see, oh, I did skip my H2 and there it is. So that can be pretty handy. This also just shows some general accessibility things. If you want to check a page real quick, this Wave plugin is very handy for that.
Have you ever encountered it where it comes up with this error and the heading goes to like a menu on the side or things like that? Have you encountered that?
Yes.
And so then you just have to access that menu and change the heading there, or change the heading in your, yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so these are, especially this heading levels increased by 1 can be a little difficult sometimes to figure that out. If you can do it, it's very helpful. Okay, then the next one down is bad links. So if you have broken links on your page, they'll be listed here. You can click on them. It'll highlight the link. So you can see wherever this is linking to, it's not working anymore. So you will need to go into this page in Terminal 4. First you want to figure out where the link should be going so that you can rewrite it in the system so that it's going to the correct place. Or you need to get rid of the link if that thing just doesn't exist anymore. Sometimes you will get a broken link warning if you are linking to something that has a login. So for instance, if you link to BangleWeb, you just have bangleweb.isu.edu. When it goes there, it's going to be redirected to the login page. Since DubBot can't log in, it's going to count that as a broken link because it never reaches its destination. So just be aware, if you get those and you know this isn't broken, it's just being weird, you can always in the action in any of these tasks, mark it as resolved. You can also see pages with that issue, and it will show you, this only has 1 page, so not a great example, but you can correct it in all the places. So everywhere that specific error is showing, you can just say, mark that as resolved because it's real and you're being weird about it. Okay. Then there is the spelling. So the spelling will mark misspelled words, of course, but it will also mark words that maybe are just not in the DubBot dictionary. That happens quite frequently with names or just weird academic words that are not commonly used. So when you click on these, it will highlight the location of the word, so you know where it is, and you can go in and correct it. So in cases, for instance, this geospatial doesn't recognize that as a word. It gives some suggestions. I'm wondering if maybe geospatial as one word is actually wrong, but I don't know. If this was your website, you'd probably have a better idea. And that's an instance where you can come down here and just mark it as resolved or ignore it on this page. Or once again, there's the see all pages, which once again, we have one. So, but it'll show you all the pages with that misspelled word, and you can just say for this whole site, ignore that word. Sometimes I'm going to show you specifically with this word. It won't highlight it. It will just say issue not found in current view. When you run into something like this, it's quite often because you're using something like an accordion where it has to be opened and closed. And DubBot cannot open this. Only humans can open these by clicking on them. So if you are finding an error, it should be highlighted, but it says it's not found in current view. It's probably in something like an accordion, and it won't show you here in this view. So if you just have a page with 25 accordions on it and that's it, it might be kind of hard to find some of these errors. You may just have to open them all and do a Control F to search for the word. All right, so the next one down is web governance. So these are issues that we have added at the university level for specific reasons, things that need to be covered, but aren't covered in the other checks that are done. So the word image used in an image description, and this doesn't highlight it. I'm trying to figure out why it will not do that. Hopefully soon I can get this to highlight the actual error. I know it's this image because I put it in that way. So this isn't necessarily an accessibility error, but it's redundant. You don't need to tell someone that it's an image of something because the screen reader will tell them it's an image before it reads the description to them. There are some things we have in that are just very specific rules that are now set up. For instance, arts and letters should not be written with an ampersand. You should use the word and. They no longer want anyone using the ampersand. So some checks like this will occasionally show up when there's some change in the name of a large area or some wording the university wants to be specific about. You may get those in here. And then repeating words. It's really easy to type small words twice. So this will find those and let you know where they are. And the next one down, some SEO checks. This will give you some handy information. For instance, this page does not have a heading 1 tag, and it should. So we know that's a problem. It will often show the page title needs to be between 30 and 60 characters, and that's very picky. If you have a page title, I'm cool with that. You don't have to be obsessed with getting it up to 30 characters if there's no real reason to do that. Then we've got a readability. So, I mean, the only one on here that will really mean anything is the Flesch Kincaid score. So that's the grade level. So I talk about when I do content trainings, you want to stay between 6 and 9, just for general readability. So this page is 8. There's some other stuff down here. This network, I don't even know why this is in here. This is not information you need for anything. There's a task thing. I don't usually assign tasks to people, but you will have a notification here if there is one. And then once again, that sharing, if you need to share links with people to these specific pages. Okay, any questions about what we've covered? Okay. A couple more things that you can do. If you are keeping track of some of these issues for a specific reason, here on these context menus for these boxes, You can see trends, you can download summary reports or detail reports. If maybe someone above you has said, we gotta fix our accessibility score, you can maybe download these to show it was like this in the past and we fixed it, so it's improved to this level. Also be aware that DubBot typically only crawls a site once per week. So if you make a bunch of changes in Terminal 4 and then you come back to DubBot the next day, it's probably still going to show the same errors because it hasn't crawled your site yet.
Hey, Joe, quick question for you. The trends, how far back does that go?
You can set dates on that. So by default, you've got 7, 30, 90, but you can choose a custom time frame. It will only go back to the point where your site was added to DubBot, which could be different links depending on when we added your site to DubBot. But it just lets you choose a date here.
If you mark an issue as resolved, is it resolved like in Word? So like just while you're looking at it, so the next time someone goes to look at it again, it's still an issue, or is it resolved forever?
Yeah, I think the resolving just makes it so the DubBot ignores that error next time it runs through.
So Joe, I think there's a difference in my using of DubBot. There's ignore and there's resolve. Ignoring will keep it permanent, I believe, and then resolve will just mark it as fixed until it's crawled again. But if it finds that error again, it will unresolve it.
Okay. And these are good questions. We have not been entirely in charge of DubBot for that long. So there are some things I am not 100% sure on. So do ask questions and I may be wrong sometimes, but we'll figure it out.
Joe, can you go back and show that spelling issue on all pages one more
Yes,
time?
let me go, because that example wasn't good. Let me go to something that actually has more than one page.
So you can go to mine. We have lots. It doesn't like medical words, so it doesn't like my spellings.
Okay, yeah.
Were you able to resolve that issue for more than one page at a time?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I've definitely missed that.
So yeah, because I couldn't really show you and I did want to come back and do that, but I forgot. So thank you.
No problem.
So we have our misspellings. We can go in here, look at a page. So I do think financial aid is 2 words. So, but maybe like EISU, that's a real thing. So we can open that and then say, see all pages with this issue type. It's just this one page. Let me see if I can find a word that's more common. Maybe if it loads.
So we have a request for
All right. Okay, there we go. Is COA a word you use a lot?
I think it's an an acronym for something. Clinicals, that's a word that we use a lot and it hates that word.
Oh, okay. So there it is. It's got it on all those pages. There's this, where did it go? Oh, you have to click on it.
Oh, you click on the word.
Yeah,
Okay.
up here. It's a little not intuitive.
Convoluted.
Yeah, and then you can say ignore for this site, ignore for your account.
So on mine, it only
or-
gives me the option mark resolve for this site.
Oh, that's right. That's another reason, because I'm logged in as an administrator here, so
Oh,
I
gotcha.
have more, but you can resolve it for your site, yes.
Okay. And it said no, but
It didn't let you do that?
it says that I'm not able to access that.
Okay. Let me make a note
Maybe
of
because
that.
we were doing it at the same time.
Oh, maybe.
Let's try
But it
some-
also could be there's permission things at work that like I said, I haven't been administrating this for very long. There are some permission things I have not come
Yeah,
across yet.
it's given me grumps about that.
Okay. Then I need to look into that. Good to know. Okay, any other questions?
Hey, Joe, could you just show us one more time where we would find DubBot? Because I've never been in it.
To log into it,
Yes, please.
if you go to the web training page, isu.edu/web training, there is a link here under accessibility and quality assurance resources that will go to the login.
Thank you.
And if it doesn't work, you may not have an account. I don't know. So that's the other thing, is that DubBot is not connected to Terminal 4. So just because you have a Terminal 4 account does not mean you have a DubBot account. I have to make them separate. So if you don't have a DubBot account and you'd like one, you can just email me and let me know.
Okay, I'll play around with it and see what I can find. So thank you.
So then finally, I just wanted to cover in Terminal 4, just some things we sort of talked about, where you go to fix them. So if the problem is alt text, the description is wrong, you go into the media library, you'll have your folder. I have all the folders in here. So, and you can see here in the list, if an image does not have this text under it, that means there's no description in there. So that's a quick way to see in Terminal 4 which ones you need to add a description to. Documents like PDFs, they don't need descriptions. It's just the images that will need them. If you are fixing broken links, just a quick thing I want to show you about doing that. Go in here where I know I have some links all set up. So you're in whatever the content type is, and if you're doing this in the direct edit view, you come in here in a different way. But so if you've got some links like this one here, you want to change it, you can always highlight it, or you could break it to begin with. There's a way to break these links. There's a link to external site where you put in a URL, or you could find the section link, do whatever. But these links are very editable. And if you need to change the text to match something new, you would always use this external site option, because you can edit whatever the display text is. Like that. And sometimes broken links take a little bit of detective work. And sometimes they can't be fixed. So you may need to remove them or do something different. All right. Any other questions?
I have a heading levels question. I'm using one of those contact us bars in the side, and up at the top where it says contact us, I keep getting the error message that the order of headings is wrong, and I've tried changing it from H4 to H3, H2, and it still keeps coming back as being incorrect.
Okay. Does the contact us content type give you an option to change the heading size? It might not.
I don't remember. I think it did in Terminal 4.
Okay. Because there are some older content types that we haven't added the ability to choose the size to yet. When they were originally built, we didn't know exactly how flexible it was in cases like that. It's the old situation, is that once you've done it, you realize you did it all wrong and you should have done it differently to begin with. So that one may not have the ability to change. I'll have to look at that. The other issue is this could depend on how screen readers go through the page. It could be because it's a sidebar, it's going to be out of order no matter what the heading is. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I have seen weird stuff like that happening.
Do you want me to just send you a link to it?
Sure, and I'll have a look at that.
Okay, thanks.
So if that's all we've got. Just want a quick reminder, there is this DubBot tutorial. If you go into the tutorials, you can just filter DubBot. It's here. I'll be adding this video to this page once I've got it processed and adding some other things on here. So if there's something you think is maybe missing from here, some other information you would want, just let me know. I want to make sure we have helpful information for people up here. All right. So if that is all, and there are no more questions, I'm gonna just end this meeting. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Joe.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you.